Good morning, friends. Well, I'm recording this in the morning. I realize that some of you might be listening to this at any time of the day. Welcome back to Radiant Resilience. I am just doing a solo episode again today, which, by the way, is always such a daunting task. First off, it is so weird to sit here and talk to myself. And secondly, I don't know, it's just so vulnerable and open, and I don't know, it's just it's such a weird thing to do. I like doing them when I finally put them out, but getting up the guts to actually do it and get on here and then, like I said, talk to myself is always kind of a strange thing. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I've got a few topics to talk about today. First, I want to give you guys an update on my hormone and perimenopause journey / infertility journey, which is such a random thing to put all together. I mean, random, not random, right? Because it's all hormones. But then Colin and I booked our next trip. So I want to talk about that. And then, of course, as always, I love to talk about my books. Yeah. And honestly, all of these topics weirdly connect because they all come back to trying to understand myself better and trying to build a life that feels fully aligned. I still am in a phase of feeling just bleh, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I feel so bad because it's not that I'm like unhappy or depressed or anything like that. I'm just like really struggling with trying to be okay with just living life and not having something to work towards and not having something like infertility was so all consuming for so long. I was always working toward that end goal of having a baby, always working towards it. And it literally was all consuming. I was researching, all the time, / doing treatments and all the stuff that, there was always something to occupy my brain. And also I think a lot of like life drama and stuff too was occupying my brain. And surprisingly at the moment, life's pretty smooth and good right now, which again, that's why I feel weird saying that I'm in this weird place of, I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate it. But, there's still going to always be like some family drama and stuff like that. That's almost always present. But I've been doing a really good job this year of trying to separate myself from some of it. And I think I've said this on here before, but I have some really freaking amazing friends right now and community around me and the people that I've been interacting with. A lot of my clients are amazing humans that I love spending time with regularly. So yeah, life's been mostly pretty good. The perimenopause thing was quite the hit, as you all know from my last solo episode. Devastating, actually, and then a fucking roller coaster of emotions. So let's dive in to my update. So I ended up going and seeing I went to an actual hormone health clinic or office, whatever, had them do a full panel of blood work and then went in for a follow-up. So this was my second opinion. Okay. Now, I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about the hormones. For those of you listening that know what I'm talking about, for those who don't, I'm really sorry. Hopefully this isn't confusing. Please reach out if you have any other questions. Since I went through infertility, I feel like I have an abnormal amount of hormone knowledge. And you would think that okay, well, your fertile hormones are going to be different than your perimenopause hormones, which is true, but you still learn all the levels and you learn, when you're going through infertility, you learn the levels you don't want them to be, which usually indicates, that you're heading that direction towards menopause. So when I was going through my infertility stuff, a lot of the blood work was done on cycle days 3 to 5. And that means, for those who don't know, your cycle days start day 1 of your cycle is day 1 of your period. And then it goes on from there until you get a period again. So, 3 to 5 days, at the end of a period or shortly thereafter is when they like to do a lot of the fertility hormones. So my first doctor that I spoke about last time that told me I was in perimenopause, we didn't pick a specific cycle day, which kind of weirded me out to begin with. So he was just like, just send me a portal message and let me know what cycle day you're on when you do the blood work so that I have a reference point. I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good. Sure. Because there's references throughout your entire cycle. However, women's hormones fluctuate so much based on what's going on in our bodies. at the time of our cycle. So I had done that blood work on cycle day 12. Okay, which again is in the ovulation window portion of my cycle. I've tracked it for many, many years, and I'm very aware of my body and my cycle after all my infertility stuff. So cycle day 12, ovulation time. That is when I got the call that I am in perimenopause. And then if you listen to the last episode, just, you know how absolutely fucking devastating that was to me. So I contacted this other hormone clinic and set up, they were doing like a new patient blood work thing for like $90 or $99 or something like that, which was actually like quite good. So I went there, had my blood drawn. They wanted to do it. I think the range was between cycle days 18 to 22 or something like that. So that is of my cycle right after ovulation, like luteal phase, right? Heading towards my period. So did that. Went in a couple days later. All of my blood work that was indicating perimenopause from the primary care doctor was, and I'm laughing because I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys know the spiral I was fucking sent into over that blood work and being told that I was in perimenopause. I was devastated because of the implications on my fertility. I'm 38 years old. I know that's higher up there for fertility, but I still thought in the very back of my mind, there was a teeny tiny little itsy bitsy chance that maybe a miracle would happen at some point, right? I thought I had at least until 40 before I had to face perimenopause. I have so many clients right now in perimenopause, and I talk to them about it all the time, but they're all in their 40s and 50s. My mother just finished menopause, perimenopause, menopause. Like, she's done with her periods fully. She's 62. Like, what is happening that I'm having to go through this at 38? So, the spiral I was sent into from that call. Literally devastating. So to find out then that I'm not actually in perimenopause, the guy that went over my results with me, he did say I could be on the brink because I am experiencing some hot flashes and night sweats. But I've started to figure out that those are mostly in the 7 to 10 day range right before I start my period. So like right now, I'm not having hot flashes. Right now, I'm in the middle of my cycle, ovulation-ish time. I'm not having hot flashes. I'm not having night sweats. So it's literally in that like 7 to 10 day window. And even then, I mean, that was about when they took this blood work, maybe a little earlier than that, but I was having some hot flashes during that moment. So, and my understanding of the hot flashes, I'm not totally sure about the night sweats, is that that's a dip in progesterone. So anyways, I'll get back to that in a little bit. But they did not say that my progesterone was low. Now, I want to also go back to the first round of blood work and say also that, so I have a very good friend, I can't remember if I said this on my last episode, who she worked at a hormone health clinic for a while and as a medical assistant and is very knowledgeable about all of this stuff. So I had reached out to her about my first blood work. And she said that my progesterone looked a little bit low, testosterone looked low, but like everything else looked fine, including my estrogen and stuff. Now, if you remember, the primary care's solution to all of this was birth control, which a lot of birth control is estrogen and or progesterone based. So she was very confused, my friend, about why this doctor was trying to give me estrogen based stuff when my estrogen levels were fine. Because if your estrogen levels are too high, you can have a lot of problems from that too, like a lot of problems. So there's a lot of side effects with that. So anyways, hormone doctor says that I am not actually in perimenopause. All of my hormone levels look fine, except for my testosterone, which is basically non-existent. Okay. So they want me to start supplementing testosterone. Now, again, I have loads of clients who are doing this, who had low testosterone, loads of like low energy from it. There's a lot of side effects for us women having no testosterone. We We don't need a ton, I think, at least in our younger years. But as we get older, it really, really helps with a lot of things. So I've talked to so many clients about being on testosterone. So I wasn't immune to it. It wasn't that I didn't have any knowledge about it. All of my clients that are on it say it's life-changing. It's worth every penny. They're very happy with the results. But again, I'm not having a lot of those side effects. Or if I am, it's pretty inconsistent throughout my cycle. So this place wants me to do testosterone injections, and it is $230 a month to do that. And I think it's something I have to do the rest of my life. So anyways, that sent me into another tailspin, of course, of like, I don't know what to do if I'm being perfectly transparent. I have done nothing since then because I just don't even know what, like, that was such conflicting information. If that doesn't tell you how like messed up our knowledge is in our society of women's health and hormones, I don't know. So I do know, I want to go back to really quick to the like cycle day situation, right? So your FSH is your follicle stimulating hormone, which is indicating your ovaries functioning properly to produce an egg, okay? So your FSH, there is a certain level that if it gets to a certain level, it's considered like diminished ovarian reserve. You have less eggs. You're starting to head towards menopause. So I think, based on the hormone knowledge I have from all my infertility and stuff, which is a decent amount, by the way, I think that the primary care doctor was looking at my FSH that was on the high side and saying I was in perimenopause, okay? And maybe my slightly low progesterone. When ovulating, your FSH spikes during ovulation. When they took my FSH for this second blood draw at the end of my cycle, it was significantly lower. Significantly. So during that ovulation time period, I think it was 20 something. It was a little over 20. It was like 4.7 or something like that for the second test, which is, I think I read anything over 3 or something like that, or around 3 is optimal for fertility. You guys, I thought my fertile years were over, literally over. And now I'm told they're not. Why is this so confusing? And who am I supposed to believe? Anyways, I talked to Colin. We discussed the testosterone situation. He didn't love it. I didn't love it. It's very expensive. So I'm kind of in this limbo phase. Now, in this time period, I also did a free little consultation with this woman that I was referred to by a good friend of mine. And I loved this woman. She had a very practical approach to it of like, I want to give you what you need, okay? She wants to tailor whatever I need to what my body's doing. So, like, I'm having hot flashes, night sweats in that 7 to 10 day range before my period. She's like, let's supplement progesterone during that 7 to 10 days. Then you can go off of it. She also talked about trying herbs and supplements to try to help with some of that stuff. I believe, don't quote me on this, I'm not a doctor. I should probably have given a disclaimer before all of this, but I have heard that DHEA is also, which is a supplement, is also connected to your testosterone levels. So I think that can help with raising them. Anyways, all that to say, I really liked this woman and I would really like to move forward with her, I think, a little bit more. I gave her my blood work that I've had done. But again, she is more of a like natural holistic, not through insurance situation, which a lot of this hormone stuff doesn't go through insurance because, you know, women don't need hormones. There hasn't been enough research around us and our hormones and menopause and all these things to have insurance cover it and think it's worth covering it. So, and they especially don't think we need testosterone, so they don't cover testosterone, period. They will cover some of the other stuff, but this woman is a more holistic doctor, and like basically I have to pay everything out of pocket. Also, I don't have conventional insurance, so that doesn't help either. I have insurance, just not the normal route. So I want to move forward with her, but it is to do another session with her. She wants to do an hour chat about like my health history and going over some of the stuff that I've had done recently and everything. And it's $300 just to have that hour chat. Doesn't even include like whatever I might need after that. So I've been putting it off because, to be honest, I'm not miserable in my symptoms. And I feel like a lot of these suggestions are to make me feel better on a day-to-day basis and more comfortable. And I'm not miserable. So I have, you know, moments where I have low energy. I have the hot flashes, the night sweats from time to time. I am still sleeping through the night, which I know is another one, huge one for women. I do have the brain fog from time to time. That one's kind of brutal, but I'm not miserable. So I'm not like in a hurry to figure all of this stuff out. But I think I really want to talk to this woman and do this hour session and get her take on the whole thing, especially after looking at my blood work that I've already had done and everything. So yeah, so that's kind of where that's at. Just, it's just infuriating. And I guess the infertility world is the same in probably every medical situation. I mean, I've had so many people on this podcast that have just struggled with doctors not believing them, doctors gaslighting them, the medical system failing them. And I'm just like, it just boggles my mind how is it not a straight-ish forward answer? I mean, I know that every human body is different and functions differently, and we need to treat each one differently. However, why is it that one doctor is telling me I'm in perimenopause and one's not? And in all honesty, I haven't said this out loud to anybody, so let's put it on the internet. How do I know that this hormone place, is it weird that everything was normal except my testosterone? And that is one of the main things that they do for people. I'm not usually like a conspiracy theorist, and I don't usually think that people are out to get me. I usually believe the best in people to a detriment sometimes, but like that seemed kind of odd. So wondering if I should go have my testosterone tested at Quest or something just on my own to compare. But anyways, that has been my hormone journey. It's just infuriating that we don't have the knowledge and we don't have the research, and the men don't care. We're not important enough. And then, do any of you remember talking in sex ed about menopause? Like, let's be real. No one told us about menopause or perimenopause. It was just like, oh yeah, that's when your periods stop. It is so much more complicated than that. And I mean, to be fair, not sure I would have retained a lot of that when I was in like 8th grade or whenever I had sex ed, but nobody talked to me about any of that. And I think even our parents and stuff, like nobody's getting this education. It's wild. I also think that, and I may have said this on the last podcast, but our environment is dramatically affecting our hormones. Our overall environment, our exposure to toxins, things that are inflaming our endocrine system, our food supply, our hormones are fucked. Like there is a reason that infertility is on the rise, just saying. And a lot of it is out of our control, unfortunately. There's only so much we can do on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, it's infuriating. So I don't know where I stand with this whole, I think I've sort of tried to just block it out and be numb to it because now I don't know what the truth is. And I feel like I was sent into this emotional spiral for no reason, potentially. I don't know. So on the positive side, I do think it helped me take like another step further away from the infertility stuff and grieving that and moving on. So I suppose that's a good thing. I'm tired of, I've said this before, but I'm tired of, what am I tired of? I'm not tired of hoping, but I'm tired of hoping. I'm tired of it just constantly being in the back of my mind. And I just want to live my life and be happy. I want to be a good person. I want to be a good friend, daughter, sister, auntie, wife. Yeah. So just trying to figure out that path, I guess, in life. So I don't know. It's just crazy. I just can't believe, I don't know. I'm a little mad at my doctor. I'm not going to lie, my primary care for sending me into that tailspin. And what if I had just listened to him and like gone on birth control? Because, I'm supposed to be able to trust my doctor. They're supposed to know what's best for me. So why? I don't know. Again, there's so many different avenues for doctors to go down to, and he's not a hormone specialist. He's not even an OBGYN. So I will give him a little bit of grace in that regard because I just don't think he knows much about female hormones. He's also a man, which I don't want to say that has anything to do with it, but I think that has a little bit to do with it. So, all right, let's move on from that topic. I will keep you posted. I would really love to do this consultation with that woman. I just need to save my pennies for a little bit and pick the right time to do it. And it'll all, come with time, I think. So that's that. Just sort of not thinking about it or sort of thinking about how I want to handle it, but not sure what I want to do. Okay, how about a fun topic? A couple fun topics. Colin and I booked our next trip. Do you have any guesses? Again, this is where the weird part of me talking to myself comes in. So Colin turns 40 in September, and we were trying to figure out something to do. It's so weird because we travel so much. It's become such a part of our lives that, when we have milestone birthdays and anniversaries and stuff, celebrating with a big trip is kind of silly for us. It doesn't feel like a big celebration because we do this so often. And we're very blessed and fortunate to be able to do as many of the trips as we have. But I was like, let's do something kind of bigger. Okay. We always are going places that are on the cheaper side, trying to do it as cheap as possible. Also, for those who know Colin, he's very, very cheap in general. So it's like a game in life to him to figure out how to do things the cheapest way possible. But typically that drives like the decision on where we're going. So are you ready, friends? Drum roll, please. We have decided for Colin's 40th birthday, we are going to Madagascar. And I am so excited. I'm so excited, you guys. We've been talking about it for a long time. We have a couple friends we've been trying to convince to go with us. You know who you are. And I'm really bummed that they're not going to be with us, but I'm so excited. We're doing about 3.5. I think the whole trip is 3.5 weeks, but to get over there, it takes like 2 days on either end. So yeah, so we are leaving in September and we'll be back mid-October. So we won't be gone on his birthday, but it's his birthday celebration. And it's a very expensive trip for us. Up front, at least. Everything has to be prearranged. We have to have a driver, a car, a guide. So we have to pay for all of that. It's just not, my understanding is that it's not set up for us to do it the way we normally do it in a very independent way. So yeah. So we're going and I'm just so excited. We finally booked flights. Flights are booked, so it's officially happening. And we paid the deposit to the tour guy, and it's going to be so weird, you guys, because we do not have a prearranged trip ever. We do everything independently for our trips. So I think it's probably going to be kind of nice because I'm happy to just go and have everything like prearranged, hotels booked, activities set every day. We will be doing a lot of driving. If you look at Madagascar on the map, the island is massive. It's very big. It's bigger than you would think. So we're going to try to see as much as we possibly can. There's the Avenue of the Baobabs. There's the lemurs and all the animals that are, I believe, only in Madagascar. There's beaches. There's hiking. We're doing a bit of camping. I'm super excited for everything. And can we talk about this for a second? One of my biggest struggles in the way that Colin and I travel is transportation. Tawny does not do well with the transportation in a lot of these countries because we do a lot of public transportation, okay? And I think the older I get, the worse it's getting. I think I had a lot more tolerance when I was in my 20s in doing this. So all of that to say, oh my gosh, especially Africa public transportation. Let's be real. Terrible. Just terrible and stressful. And every time I wake up on a travel day where we have to catch a bus or whatever, it gives me so much anxiety. And I kind of know why, it's a lot. And also I always have to pee. I think that's part of it. So I get anxiety that I'm not going to be able to go pee. Because not all these buses have bathrooms and things. So anyways, anytime we have had our own transportation where we've rented a car or had a driver has made a world of difference in my experience of the trip and enjoyment of the trip. So having a driver on this trip is going to be fantastic. I can't wait. It's going to be so great. So that will alleviate a lot of stress for me. But we are doing a ton of driving because it's a big country. And yeah, I'm stoked. I'm so excited. It's going to be so much fun. It's been on both of our lists for a really long time. So yeah, I think it's going to be amazing. But just very strange. I think Colin is probably going to have a harder time with the preset itinerary than I am. But I'll have to give you an update when I get back on how that went and my thoughts about it. And yeah, we just like the flexibility and freedom to come and go as we please. But Colin has been in contact with our guide since January, and he picked this guy because he seemed to be quite flexible for what we wanted to do and changing things around if we needed to and stuff like that. So yeah. So I'm really excited. Madagascar this fall. And yeah, that's going to be our last probably big trip of the year. I have a bunch of little trips. I just got back from Disneyland, which is super fun. I love Disneyland. I go about once a year. So yeah, I did that with my mom. And then I am going to visit a friend in July on the East Coast. And then Colin and I are talking about we were going to try to go to the Tetons again in August, but I think we're going to go to Crested Butte instead because I wasn't really finding any campground space for when I wanted. And yeah, that's kind of that update. And speaking of escapism, can we talk about books? I know I probably am exhausting everyone, but all right. So last time I heavily pushed Dagger Mouth. Still highly recommend, but I have realized since I pushed it so the author must have like released it in January or something or earlier this year. And then I think got a publisher and is re-releasing it in June or July. I think July. And the new cover on it is stunning, by the way. But I have been telling everybody to read this book and they're like, Tawny, I can't get the book because the only way you can buy it now is when it comes out in July. So all y'all can wait, but again, highly recommend. Okay, and then I read Silver Elite by Danny Francis, and book 2 came out. It's called Broken Dove a couple weeks ago. Holy shit, you guys. Book 2 rocked my world. So good. So good. Now, I believe it's supposed to be a trilogy, so who knows when we'll get book 3 because book 2 just came out, but so good. My friend had read it. She finished it before I did. And the night that I was finishing it, the last like 10 chapters had all of these bombs dropped. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? I kept texting her. I'm like, I probably drove her nuts, but I was like, oh my gosh, this happened? Oh my gosh, what? This happened? It was like shock of, a lot of the romantasy, the last 100 pages. I think the joke is like the last 100 pages just wreck you. So, but so good. Book 2, I think, was maybe even better than book 1, but both very, very good. I really like the way they were written. I like the characters, the storyline, all very good. Kind of dystopian mixed with a bit of fantasy because there's a magic system in it. So, highly recommend. I also read Fury Bound by Sable Sorensen, which is the second book to Dire Bound. I had a hard time with that one, you guys. I've seen some other reviews online that Fury Bound was better than Dire Bound, but I feel like I disagree. I feel like the ending happened really fast and I don't know, just didn't love it. So take that or leave it. Currently, okay, so my reading buddy was reading a different book when I finished Broken Dove by Danny Francis. And so I have officially started my first Brandon Sanderson book. So I'm taking a mini break from the romantasy and reading Mistborn. My husband has raved about it for forever. One of my very good friends has raved about it for forever. So I haven't read any Brandon Sanderson, but I feel like I would probably like it in the fantasy realm. So I started Mistborn. It was very, very hard to get into and understand the world building. I'm about 7 or 8 chapters in, I think, a little over 100 pages. And I was really struggling with the first few chapters. But now I think I finally got the characters down. The magic system is wild. And I actually just discovered at the back of the book, there is a chart explaining the magic system. And I'm like, why is this not at the front of the book? Why can we not put the helpful hints at the front of the book? That would have been so helpful. I was looking through like the table of contents or something and then just saw like chart of, I was like, what? Front of the book, friend, front. I felt the same way about Red Rising. It's not a fantasy book, it's more sci-fi, but the way that the like societal system works there, it's all different colors and they all work in different parts of different industries. Same thing. That was overwhelming me in the beginning. I was like, holy crap, I need a chart. I need a visual. I'm a very visual person. So I think I'm finally getting the characters down in Mistborn, the magic system, and it's starting to flow a little bit better, which is making me start to finally enjoy it. So that's what we're doing. Mistborn right now. And then I think my reading buddy and I are going to do Metal Slinger because that one, book 2 comes out next month. And I also want to read The Night and the Moth. I also have Bloodbound. I also have Starside, We Who Will Die. The list is never ending, friends. And then another friend and I, because I'm on this like journey of trying to discover my true authentic self and my purpose in life, I was at the airport coming back from Disney, and I always like to just go look at the books. I don't like to buy books in the airport because they're kind of expensive, but I saw this book and I took a picture of it. It is called The Meaning of Your Life. It's by Arthur C. Brooks. Finding Purpose in an Age of Emptiness is the tagline. So my friend and I are talking about reading that as far as like a self-help book goes. So I think I want to do that with her here at some point. So yeah, that's my book life. My book updates. I have currently read about 20 books this year. Guys, it's a problem. I've never read that many books in my life in 1 year. I am flying through them, and it has become my absolute favorite activity. I love it. I love it. And I'm a little concerned that it might become an addiction, but I guess there's worse addictions. I just love it so much. I love losing myself in a fantasy world. I love learning about new characters and worlds and systems, and it's just so good. And the world is really tough right now. So I think it's a great escape for me too. But I also don't want it to become a coping mechanism. So I guess we'll see. I also love reading about women empowerment. I mean, a lot of these romantasy books are female main characters that are fucking crushing it in the world. So that's pretty cool. All right, friends, that is my update for now. I hope you all are having a lovely time. I don't know when you're listening to this. I'm recording this on a weekend. It's a holiday weekend. So I hope you're having a lovely holiday weekend, or whenever you're listening to this. Have a good rest of your week. And yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.